Hello, guys. Welcome to Strange New Bears,
Something like
the
that.
Bears Boldly Go podcast where Matt and myself review the hit new Star Trek show, Strange New Worlds. A show where bears boldly go where no bear has gone before.
Although possibly have, because it's a prequel to the original series.
It
And
is.
a sequel to Discovery Seasons 1 and 2.
Aye. And they firmly
Yeah.
make sure you know that.
Yeah.
Like, no kind of avoiding the fact that, like, I can pretend Discovery didn't happen if you're one of those folk. Like, this film is like, no, Discovery happened.
Yeah. Discovery happened and it affected all of those that were involved.
I mean, first off, I like this episode so much I may watch it again before next week's episode.
Yeah, I might do.
I'm going to go on record and say this may be one of the best Star Trek pilots of all time.
I'll give you that.
Just going to move my mic slightly so there might be some clicks.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I'll give you that. I think it certainly sets out quite well what they're going to try and do, which does seem to be a traditional episodic piece of Star Trek.
I realised I haven't done my usual thing and got the information about the episode up. So I'm just going to do that now, fellas.
Well, I'll just keep
and
talking
ladies
anyway,
and
then.
gentlemen and everyone in the... I'm rambling now.
Let's just call them all bears. Anyone who watches this,
Bears.
our bears friends. So terrible pun there. But yeah, all the bears out there. They seem to be setting up to be a traditional Star Trek in the sense that it will be.
It is going to be episodic. They've
villain of the week sort of thing, or adventure of the week.
They've out and out stated it is going to be an episodic show.
Obviously with some character over arcs, because Pike is.
I think the first episode might have just been called Strange New Worlds. I mean, yeah, there's going to be through lines with the characters. I think. I also some of the trailers we've seen. I think we might be jumping around in time a bit as well, as in we might skip forward a fair amount. But yeah, from this point on, full spoilers. Well, no, actually, before we go into full spoilers, what are you drinking tonight, Matt?
As we are talking about Star Trek, tea, Earl Grey.
Well, as we're talking about Star Trek, Space Coke. The new space-flavoured Coke.
Oh, I've tried that. I rather enjoyed it.
It's weird.
Yeah, it is weird. It's Coke
It's
Zero.
also not Coke coloured.
With a hint of bubblegum, I think.
I get where you were coming from, but I think you're off. It's Coke with a hint of biscuit.
Oh, okay.
But there's part of me that also thinks...
Biscuit. You see, I think you mean a biscotti, like one of them little burnt things that you get with coffee.
Yeah.
The other thing...
There's part of me that also thinks it's a Coke-Tizer hybrid.
Yeah, you see,
but the colour might be making me think that, because it's not Coke coloured. There's a reddish tinge to it.
I couldn't drink Tizer as a kid because all of my food allergies and everything like that. The extremely red food colouring that was in Tizer was 100% something that would have a crack at killing us.
Looking at the ingredients, there's a lot of carrot in it.
Yeah, that's the red thing.
Yeah, and I also realised what might be making me think Tizers. I think there might be menthol in it.
Really?
I don't know. So
this sounds like a drink that the replicators would really struggle with.
Back in the 90s, there was a very short-lived version of Tizer called Tizer Ice. Designed to give you the refreshing feel of it being cold, whether it was or not. And the way
it had mint in it.
Yeah, the way we got that was menthol. And it had this after-ting to it, effectively. Not an aftertaste, an after-ting. And there's something about that to this, and that's why I think my mind is going. But then I don't get them. I'm not drinking out of a can, so maybe I'm just tasting metal which is also a possibility. But
True.
we've digressed. But if you haven't tried...
The other thing I have been drinking is Space Ukrainian Lager, which is available in various high street outlets. And all of the profits go towards the good things, trying to help the Ukrainians. So if you are a drinker and you spot it, it's not a bad lager. Apparently, it's one of Ukraine's biggest national brands.
Nice.
Yeah, quite a tasty little lager. But yeah, so you're going to have a beer.
Definitely going to have to mark this episode as not for kids.
So, why?
We're talking about alcohol. Although I mark every episode as not for kids, so it's fine.
I mean, in the end, I said if you are a drinker, I'm hoping, children, that you aren't. So, and to be honest, if you are a child, beer will taste disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. It's only when you become a bitter old man like me and James that beer is nice.
Well, you're like me, someone who doesn't drink but still hunts down non-alcoholic beers because...
Yeah. He hates his taste buds and he wants them to know it.
I basically drink Sinful.
Yeah, you do. You've just fully embraced that Star Trek life.
To be fair, non-alcoholic beers have got very good in recent years.
Oh, they're so much better.
I had a chocolate vanilla stout the other day, and that was like damn good. Because there's been good non-alcoholic lagers for a long time, but now there's getting good non-alcoholic versions of beers that you wouldn't have normally expected.
Yeah.
Like you can get non-alcoholic sours and non-alcoholic stouts, and to be fair, speaking of non-alcoholic stouts, non-alcoholic Guinness is...
I've still yet to try it.
Like, there's a taste to it. It tastes exactly like Guinness minus something, and I'm pretty sure the only thing it's minus is the taste of alcohol.
When was the last time you had a Guinness? Like,
well, it'll be that long before I packed up, but it's been...
Yeah. But I don't know how long that's been.
I haven't had a drink in 3 years.
Is it that long?
It'd be... Yeah, definitely. At least. I mean, you know that when you got back from your honeymoon, that camping trip was my last.
Oh, wow. Interesting. We might have to have a little taste test then. At some point, when we're in the same room at some point.
Yeah.
Then we'll crack open like a couple of real ones and a couple of like the same brand zero alcohol, and just have a sip and do a taste test.
Because it even has the nitros ball in the can.
Yeah.
So you can do the whole just tip it upside down and pull it up trick that you're meant to do with Guinness cans.
Then we definitely have to do.
That's the thing. If you're American and you get your Guinness solely in can form, and you're wondering how you do get that like Guinness style perfect head, literally just can upside down in your glass and slowly pull up, just staying at the top of the head, and you get what you're after.
Yeah. Anyway,
public service announcement for the Americans.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, we've trying to help everyone.
Yeah.
We're trying to help Ukraine with lager, and we're trying to help America with Guinness.
So yes, spoilers for the first episode of Strange New Worlds Ahead. Damn. I mean, anyone who's hoping this was going to be Star Trek's return to not being political was sorely disappointed this week.
Yeah, that one episode that they may have made once.
Star Trek, famously apolitical.
Oh, incredibly apolitical. Like
this did. I mean, but to be fair, like this one went all in on it. This one has a moment where it's basically like, yes, the state of the world right now, World War III is imminent, and it's all down to January the 6th.
Yeah, because there was some footage that
I
looks
mean, I would like.
remarkably like it came from the January the 6th.
I loved it.
Yeah, so did I.
It's like this led to a civil war, and it ties into a little bit of Picard as well, because we
does,
see
yeah.
at the end of Picard season, spoilers to Picard season
Season
2 as well. But at the end, you see Data's evil great grandfather or whatnot pull out a Khan project folder.
Yeah,
which did start in 1996 to keep stuff
keep
in line.
Yeah. Because I mean, the thing is that as we've talked about before, and as they've talked about, including in Picard, that the timelines were a bit fuzzy anyway, because of obviously it went through essentially World War III, the pilot episode, which was the eugenics war, which then turned into fully fledged World War III. Of course, where we live now, or when we live now, would be a bit of a dark ages, because there's going to be so much media just lost.
Yeah.
And of course, because we keep everything on magnetic drives still, if there were that many nukes and therefore potentially EMPs, there's going to be so much data just destroyed, which is why potentially Zefram Cochrane still has a jukebox, because it's a physical form of data storage.
So we start with Pike having become a bit of a recluse after Discovery season 2.
Yes.
Enterprise is having a refit,
because that's what the Enterprise does.
Yeah. To be fair, it's had 2 5-year missions at this point, so it makes sense.
Yes, one with Robert April and one with Pike.
Yeah, so it makes sense that it's gone back into dry dock for a bit of a...
Speaking of Robert April, the Admiral.
Yes.
Is that meant to be him?
That is Robert April, yes.
That is Robert April, yeah. So, because that might piss a few people off then.
It has, but as my view on the kind of people who that would piss off die mad.
They reverse Billy D. Williams to Tommy Lee Jones did. Yeah.
He had one appearance in the animated show.
Mm.
And the writer of said animated show has come out and been like, hey, I love this. Robert April's on TV.
And they had there in the old encyclopedias there is a picture of someone like a human person.
I think it's Roddenberry, but
yeah.
But yeah, like Robert April is not a big enough character that it remotely matters.
No.
And if we start getting a more fleshed out Robert April and this is the version of a character we get, good.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. So,
if Star Trek is annoying you this much, stop. You don't have to watch it. You watch something you enjoy. You will get. Maybe you will be less angry in life if you actually consume media you want to watch.
Which is what we do with Star Trek. I think, like the modern Star Trek, and this is including Strange New Worlds so far, obviously, has done a remarkable job, really, hasn't it?
I love Star Trek.
I mean, I love Star Trek anyway.
And modern Star Trek has reminded me how much I love Star Trek. I'm so glad we're living in this new golden age of Star Trek content. But there's things I don't like. You know what I do? I don't watch them.
Yeah.
My life is much better for it.
Exactly. And like, I think
as much as and you'll hear me on this channel doing it, as much as I grumble about things like the MCU, when I'm sitting in the cinema watching them, I'm still enjoying myself.
Yeah. My
grumbles about the MCU are more issues with the industry as a whole than it is really
the individual films.
Yeah. But again, we're digressing here. So we get this wonderful moment of Pike in recluse with another captain that he's in a relationship with. Sounds like a kind of relationship where whenever they're both on Earth, they spend time together.
Yeah.
He's got a mountain cabin. He goes out for a horse ride, and Robert April comes.
Mountain cabin.
Pardon?
An Anson Mountain cabin. Yeah.
But yeah, Robert A4 shows up in a shuttlecraft and is like, Pike, I need you. And Pike's like,
He's like,
nah.
dude, why haven't you been answering your phone? Like, I've been calling loads. So,
And,
did you not think it might be important?
The reason is, number one has captained a first contact mission that's gone wrong and they've not been heard of. They found a planet that had a warp drive signature, so they'd gone to Vulcan the planet.
Throwing them salutes up and like
small crew on that ship.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Or the ship got away and they're just the ones that like unfortunately got captured.
The ship didn't get away. The ship was still in orbit.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh right. Yeah. Oh no, it didn't then. Yeah, just a skeleton crew there. Yeah.
Very small ship though, to be fair.
Well, true.
It feels like it's potentially the California class of the 23rd century.
Yeah, the Archer.
Yes, and we get some sexy Spock times.
We do get some sexy Spock times.
Rephrase it. T'Pring would like to have some sexy Spock times, but Pike interrupts, and as we know, Spock loves his captains more than anything else.
Yeah.
Nothing keeps a Spock from his captain.
Exactly.
Have you seen? This is where we see the new tech they've brought in on Spock's bedroom with all the pillars and things.
Yeah,
they're using they're using AR screens. So all the kind of vistas you see, and this is apparently something. This is why it's taken us a bit longer to get Strange New Worlds than was potentially originally planned.
Yeah,
because we decided we wanted to get this tech right, and we didn't think they could make it properly until we got the tech right. So that's
I think look lovely, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I have to say they've shot it beautifully.
But yeah, the stuff between Spock and T'Pring is like really kind of good, and like there is this like it's very
saucy Vulcans, like because like he's allowing his human side to come out just a little bit, and then she seems to like I'm aware of T'Pring, but like, is she full Vulcan?
I think so. She's obviously in the. Yeah. She's in the episode where Kirk has to fight Spock for, the one where Spock goes through Pamphar and has to go back home to mate with T'Pring, and then Kirk gets shirtless, and they. See, that's the thing. There's lots of shirtless Spock here as well. It's the right kind of Star Trek horny. Because that's the thing, Star Trek is in like that's the thing. There's this idea, and the more like that. Star Trek is very kind of not like Star Trek. Like Star Trek is hard, serious sci-fi, and it's also no, it's not.
I mean, it can be.
It can be, but
the thing is,
90% of the time, Star Trek is weird, horny stuff.
It's weird, horny stuff. It's pseudo fantasy that's dressed up as science fiction, and it's got loads of. But then,
like as you've heard me say in other reviews, I'm watching through Voyager at the moment, and I get why Voyager is possibly the worst of the TNG era Star Treks. In fact, because it never really lives up to its promise.
Yeah.
But, God, is it weird? It's just so weird at times.
They have fun with it, though, and I think that, like, they had to get a little weird because of its
it's
format.
wonderfully weird.
I think that that's where this, like, Strange New Worlds can potentially get a bit weird again. Like, will we see some gods? Like, in the sense of Zeus and stuff like that, like, was in TOS, sorry.
T'Pring does propose to him in this episode, yeah. And that's when we go back.
She's very flirty, though, isn't she? Like she's quite non-Vulcan in.
I think it's not non-Vulcan though. We've said before how Vulcan has put on this kind of appearance of repressed.
She's most certainly one of those Vulcans, though, that wouldn't be allowed to serve on a Vulcan craft. Like, they'd be exiled to Starfleet.
It's what I love. It's why I love the notion of Tuvok, right? Because on the Voyager crew, Tuvok feels so Vulcan, but realistically, Tuvok is one of those extremely weird, wild Vulcans, right?
Tuvok is probably someone who would end up in prison for being some sort of like sex criminal or something on.
Well, it's fair. Tuvok got sent. Tuvok was a youth who got sent to like a military camp, effectively, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Because he was wild and
dared to have his own thoughts.
But I love Vulcans. Vulcans are the best.
So Spock forsakes some sexy time.
Yeah, because he gets a call from Pike, and Pike's like, "Hey Spock, we're heading out," and he's like, "Sure, I'm away." T'Pring won't mind, and T'Pring's there like, "I'm pretty sure I mind."
Yeah, he's like, I know it might not be your cycle, but I'm feeling some pon farr right now.
And this is why, fully, this marriage clearly fails.
Yeah.
Because anytime the Enterprise calls, Spock's like, "Yeah, peace out, I'm gone." He's good as well. Peck is...
Oh, he's perfect, isn't he?
Even more so, I think, than I thought in Discovery. Like, because obviously in Discovery he was playing a bit of a wild Spock because of the nature of what had happened. He has, without it being he feels like Spock without it being a caricature of Leonard Nimoy.
Yes.
Like, the mannerisms are there, but they're not... Yeah, they're not like an impression. He's not doing an impression.
We've discussed like the brilliance of Star Trek in this TV era, just recasting.
Yeah.
Of like obviously where Star Wars is using deepfakes and stuff like that. Like Star Trek's like, bugger it. Yes, you're an excellent actor, stroke actress, stroke whatever. And we will have you playing this well-known character. You might not look anything like them, but you've got the heart to play them.
And I'm much rather. I'm much rather. It's like it's come out recently that with about behind the scenes Boba Fett, Hammer was on set for all of that Boba Fett stuff and was delivering a lot of performances for other actors to act against. But it's like, well, the end product still just feels even like, and I get like he's okay with it. So the moral stance of like, oh, I don't like the tech for what it is doesn't hold as well there because Mark Hamill is perfectly fine with it. That's fair enough. But
I think the problem comes when they do it with a dead character, with a dead actor,
which they've done arguably.
Yeah,
I'm not arguing about it. They have done it
with Moff Tarkin.
Yeah.
But it was such a small.
It was such a small role that fair enough. It's when.
Yeah, I didn't mind that because it was just a little kind of like.
Rather, what happens?
It was a nice little nod.
Yeah, like I'd much rather do with Solo.
Yeah.
Solo worked without us having some weird deep fake young Harrison Ford.
Or Billy D. Williams. Because they cast them correct.
Yeah, and I just see the time coming when we're going to get a post-Jedi TV show about the Core 3 and it's going to be this. And it's like, I have no desire to watch that. I'd much rather if we're going to do it, make an animated show.
Yeah, if it were animated, like if it was just like the Clone Wars or what have you, like that, like somehow that feels better.
Yeah,
and yet because it's still arguably animation, but trying to be as lifelike as possible.
And full on, everyone's mileage is going to vary on this, but I 100%. Just don't like it.
No, I'm sort of with you. It feels like it feels odd.
And I think for characters who have become this massive in pop culture, right? It's okay to recast. Yeah. Like, there's characters like, how many Poirots have we had over the years? How many Sherlock Holmes have we had?
I've had loads of Sherlock Holmes. We haven't had that many Poirots.
Either one of
not major ones.
No,
anyway.
But it is a. We have had multiple. Like, these characters have gone past the act. Like, don't get me, the actors who play them are crucially important, but in expanded medias and things like that, these characters are more than the people who played them, and it's okay to recast. We've seen it work in Star Trek with Anson Mount as Chris Pike, and I know Chris Pike is a very small. It's easier to recast Chris Pike than most things,
but it was also very important. Well, arguably, like, because
I guess also
Pike in the original series was recast.
Yeah,
because the disfigured Pike that appears in the Kirk era, as opposed to the pilot, isn't the same actor because he refused
disabled.
To come back.
I think disabled is a better word to use there, just in general as a.
Oh no, I mean he's.
Well, yeah, but I think, as a term, I just think it would be better to just say the disabled Pike.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Although I think the disfigurement is important to Pike because it when he sees himself in
potentially it's just this... I'm just trying to get it, it's a loaded word that shouldn't be casually.
No, it's a loaded word, and I'm not like I'm not trying to use it in a casual sense, like because obviously as we'll discuss about with this episode and I'm sure with future episodes, like he glances at his future
Pike
quite
being
a lot.
Obviously part of Pike's arc here, and we'll use this to get back on track.
Yeah.
Pike doesn't want to command this ship at the start of the episode. Pike has become infinitely aware of his mortality. And potentially that's something a starship captain maybe shouldn't be aware of. What a starship captain has to go out there and think they can beat death, right?
Or the other way around is because he knows when he is going to die, will it make him reckless? Because he knows each of these missions, I'm not going to die.
I think
know anyone else.
No, see, I think and that's the thing with Pike. I think Pike cares about his crew too much for that to actually work. But
whereas I think that like a certain era of Kirk, like that like say.
Well, I think
Kirk going.
I've always thought the key Kirk moment
after David dies, possibly.
Well, I think the key Kirk moment is Bones' line to him in Search, which is you did what you always do. You took death and turned it into a fighting chance for life, right? That is Kirk all over. Pike is a much more not to say Kirk isn't a balanced character, but Pike is a much more kind of he's a lot less hot-headed.
There's a wisdom to Pike.
Yeah, that Kirk does fundamentally lack as a that's not fair to Kirk, but Kirk is Kirk.
Pike is someone who's destined to be an admiral, whereas Kirk is someone who's lucky he remained a captain.
And as we get to the ship, we're slowly introduced to our various new cast members. And
some of them new characters, some of them returning.
We've mentioned Spock. It's worth pointing out Spock is not his first officer. Spock remains head of science, but is not the first officer for this mission. That is
the new
song
British character. Yeah, where she's a Singh, isn't she?
Yes, so Singh.
Yeah, very deliberately named so that she.
I think they've said in an interview she is indeed
a descendant of
something to do with Khan. Yes, Lan, played by Christina Chong. Lan Noonien Singh is the character's name. Yeah. Head of security and first officer. And it seems that there's a hint here that at least during Pike's time, the head of security was the first officer. Because I think there was the implication that number one was also chief of security on the ship. we're introduced to, as you say, our new Celia Rose Gooding playing Hura as a cadet. So this is her work placement, I'm guessing. So it does seem cadets do have
what
them.
little she's in it in this episode, again, spot on casting. I think. Like,
fantastic,
and very nicely written. Like, she's only in about 3 or 4 scenes, but like there's a very beautiful, delicate little touch in the writing and the delivery. So I think spot on there.
I'm not sure if I. We've got our helm officer, Erica Ortegas, played by Melissa Navia, and she's brilliant. Like they're in the chair a lot in this episode.
Yeah,
because people are away, and like I love the time of the chair. I love the attitude of like, why does this stuff always happen when I'm on?
yeah.
Got the bridge like. We have a medical bay that finally looks an appropriate size to serve a starship.
Oh, yeah.
And yet still only 2 medical officers. So there's this weird thing of like, this bay
only 2 medical officers
that we see. Yeah, I know. But there's this moment of like, okay, actually, I get why they probably went smaller before, because this looks way too big. But again, we have a recast in here as well.
Yeah.
Jess Bush as Nurse Christine Chappell, who I really liked.
Because we now have 2 Majel Barrett characters.
Because it's worth noting, we do. This episode is funny. Like, it has its moments of seriousness as well, but it's very funny.
It's very funny. It's very serious. It's everything that Star Trek should be, I think.
We have Babs Alusamoken. Apologies, I've probably pronounced that wrong. But that playing Dr. Mbanga. Again, really solid kind of.
Excellent. Yeah. He does exactly what he needs to do. There's a nice sense of humour and urgency, and like, again, none of the characters outside the really core trio essentially.
I will say what's worth noting, however, though, is because we also have an enlisted officer as well, Chief Kyle, as the transporter chief.
Yeah.
And for like, again, I love where Discovery is right now. Discovery is also a magical show. But some of the criticisms of those early seasons of Discovery were that outside of like, you didn't get to know the bridge crew until season 2 onwards.
Yeah.
And instantly within one episode, I have a feeling that every member of this crew who's going to be a face. Yeah. Right? Like, I instantly have a feeling of what kind of character they are. With Chapel running after the person they basically abduct. and when he gets in the elevator and the way Uhura just takes command because she's a communications officer, right? So she communicates. And she calms him down. Like, it's a wonderful scene. That scene of a lift. He's panicking. He's terrified.
It's not long, but it's exactly right for Uhura.
Yeah.
Like
he comes out of that lift calm. And then he gets tranked by Chapel.
Yeah.
And obviously the mission they come on, they find out that why this planet is showing warp. It's as a weapon, not as... They're probably at a similar time frame to we are now, aren't they? Maybe a little bit more advanced. And the way they've developed warp is because they saw the battle in Discovery Season 2. The big, giant battle to stop the evil AI. And they retroactively managed to figure out how to make warp from observing that. So it was very much the Federation caused this problem. So Pike just breaks every single rule of not the Prime Directive at this point.
No, it's General Order 1.
Yeah, General Order 1. And
because it doesn't become the Prime Directive until after Kirk.
Yeah.
Because it's still General Order 1 all the way through.
I do like the little joke about how I don't think Prime Directive is going to stick. Like, there's talks there's talks about him calling it. It's like, that won't stick. But he drops the Enterprise just into... because he's got two cultures that are going to basically kill it. But one side is going to just kill the other side. It's like, well, I'm just going to have to force you to talk, aren't I?
Yeah.
This is our mess. We've got to clean it up. And if we do that by, I guess, advancing this planet quicker than it has to be done, so be it. So he forces them to the table. And they're still arguing, and so he gives them a speech about Earth. Where he talks about all the trouble Earth went through before it got to where it is now. And yeah, it's good. It's good stuff.
There's some quite terrifying imagery as well, which obviously is there for the aliens, but it's also for us because, like, realistically, we are a few bad steps.
Yeah,
we are a few stumbles away from potentially mass nuclear war. Especially with what's going on.
I mean, the world is currently the most precarious it's been in our lifetimes.
Maybe. I mean, I was alive for the last 10 years of the Cold War, so like, and we've both been alive during periods of.
I mean, we've been at war for most of my adult life, but
no, I was going to say domestic terrorism. Like, you know,
But the whole world just feels like it's shifting, and not in a good way.
The whole world feels like something could go very wrong.
Yeah,
very like.
Star Trek.
And so this, Star Trek is doing what it does, and it's warning us. It's saying, you know, we can stop this. This like,
because I think I supposed to point out, like, Star Trek isn't about a perfect future. Star Trek is about a good future that could be real if we work for it. Like, it's for Superman of sci-fi shows. It's that kind of like, this is an ideal to try and strive for.
It's exactly the Superman of sci-fi
and things aren't necessarily perfect in this future, but
they're better.
Yeah,
and people try and make it better still.
Yeah,
and that's where humanity will kind of. That's where it needs to be. You know, we need to look at Star Trek and think, how can we get there?
And then obviously, we end it with Admiral April basically managing to just about retain their all the ranks of everyone involved, because they rescue number one from the planet, Una Chin Riley.
They sort of have to break the running joke in this episode of it's classified.
Yeah.
They obviously have to let April in on it to so that he can save them.
Yeah.
So at least most of the bridge crew of the Enterprise now know what was going on with Discovery, even the ones that weren't.
Yes, certainly Singer's brought in on it.
Yeah,
Nguyen Singh. But yeah, it was such a good first episode, and I loved it, and I cannot wait for more of this show. And I hope this is a long-running show.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a Picard in and out with 3 seasons kind of deal. Because I hope we get the 5-year mission. Oh, you know what we haven't talked about? The other running joke of this episode. Oh, the intro is fantastic.
Yeah, the intro is lovely.
I nearly welled up a little bit during that intro.
And the music is it's a twist on the original theme. If you listen carefully, it's like the original theme's hiding in there.
Yeah, it's so nice. But there's a running joke throughout this episode of when Lieutenant Kirk is coming on board. And I thought we weren't going to do it. I thought, like, he's wanted to get Lieutenant Kirk on board, but he can't.
Yeah.
Like, he's off somewhere else in the end. But then they bring Lieutenant Kirk on board, but it's Sam Kirk.
Yeah.
Also, recasting, because also played by William Shatner in the original series. Oh, obviously he only played his body with a moustache, but I like that the moustache is there, though.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have Lieutenant Sam Kirk serving under as a science officer under Spock,
Mm.
and yeah, it was good. And I'm looking forward to seeing Sam Kirk.
Yeah, 'cause
He
it'd be
seems to
nice.
already know Pike.
Yes, yes, he does. Like, because he's just that little bit cocky to begin with. He's
Yeah,
like, hey, Chris. I mean, Captain.
yeah.
Like, so
And Chris asks him how the
feel
family is.
which does feel like a Kirk.
Yeah,
Like, so
and obviously
yeah,
we already know in season 2 we're getting the Kirk.
mm.
We're getting James T. Kirk in season 2.
But I think having Sam on board
Yeah,
is a nice way of having James T.
yeah.
Appear, but doesn't necessarily have to be there the whole time. Or if he is there for the whole time for season 2, like there's there's an anchor,
Yeah,
rather than it being some sort of weird fan service thing.
but yeah, I'm very excited for where this show is going to go. It gets all the bear paws up for me.
Definitely, definitely. I think if this is the worst it gets as well,
Oh yeah,
like
like
because
if this is the worst it gets, it's probably going to be the greatest season of Star Trek ever made. Like,
well, I mean, the thing was, I watched it and I loved it, but it was also like, and don't take this the wrong way, but it was nothing revolutionary or remarkable. It was just
it's not trying for that though. Like,
no, I know, and I think that's the thing that like it's just great Star Trek.
Yeah, that's what this show is like. We want to be great episodic Star Trek.
Yeah,
And in a world where we have season-long arc Discovery and miniseries Picard
yeah.
and animated Lower Decks and animated Prodigy, like again, this is why Star Trek potentially won't go stale this time around like it did in the 90s because it's all different.
Yeah.
This is what the strength of New Trek is.
Everything has its own stamp. I think there might be other things coming, which I think we'll discuss potentially on our Picard roundup episode later in the week. Because there's a potential for maybe 2 spin-offs from that.
There's one of them I definitely want.
There's one I definitely want. And we've mentioned it before on the Picard. We want to see Stargazer.
Now, where Picard finishes, the Stargazer we want to see now is vastly different to the Stargazer we thought we wanted to see at the start of Picard.
Yes.
But
yeah, but I would still like to see a Stargazer show.
yes,
then there's also another one that potentially we might see as well. That we'll discuss.
which one of these one of those could easily replace Picard in the kind of
Because obviously Picard is definitely dead at 3.
I mean, we do know Michelle Yeoh's Section 31 is still in theory happening,
which again, like,
but I can see that being a one season and done kind of thing.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have a problem with that because Michelle Yeoh's had a great run.
She's having a great time in general at the moment, isn't she?
Oh yeah,
which good.
Well, yeah. It's she's been excellent. So it'd be nice for her to have I think almost a thank you. Here's 6 episodes for yourself.
Yeah,
like there you go.
But on this note, I'm gonna say, watch if you haven't watched it, watch Strange New Worlds. It's good. I'm very excited, and I think on that note we will say live long
and prosper.
Bye bye, guys.
See you.